The first time that I saw a BRV from the front, I thought that I was looking at a subcompact car. It was low and narrow. It is not until you see it from the side that you realize that it's a pretty long vehicle. It looks like a stretched out Honda BRV, which is essentially what it is. This is the top of the line BRV. It is the BRV Modulo Navi, which looks a little bit better and sportier compared to the regular BRV. It has a wraparound skirt and plenty of additional chrome trims to make it look a bit more premium. Compared to the Rush and the Xpander, the BRV is noticeably smaller. Okay, I test drove the BRV right after I test drove the Mobilio, and they're very similar vehicles in terms of design. Also worth noting is that the BRV is based on the Mobilio platform. This top-of-the-line BRV does look a lot better compared to the lower trimmed models. It has plenty of little accents that make it look a bit more premium. The weirdest part of the car's design is this kink on the window line and between the front and rear doors. On most vehicles, the window line is angled upwards towards the back of the vehicle. On the BRV, the window line goes up and then down at the center and then up again. It kind of destroys the flow of the lines from the front to the back when you see a kink at the center, which makes you wonder why Honda would create such a weird design. But when you start thinking of it as a stretched out subcompact car, it starts making a bit of sense. Check this out. Now it's a subcompact, and now the line is straight. Now you know. The Mobilio also has the same kink between the front and rear windows, and looking at the pre-facelift Mobilio, you can more clearly see that this is based on a subcompact car, a Honda BRV to be precise, and the BRV is based on the Mobilio, so your eyes are not fooling you. The BRV really is a lengthened subcompact car. Instead of redesigning the front door so that the line would be straight all the way to the back, they just kept the front doors and added the kink so the window line wouldn't end up near the roof. That is called cost cutting. The BRV is powered by a 1.5-liter iVTEC engine. It is the same displacement as the Rush and the Xpander, but it produces slightly more power at 120 horsepower. It is coupled to a CVT transmission. While I generally am not a fan of CVT transmissions, it is better than the 4-speed autos of the Rush and the Xpander, especially on the highway. The BRV is front-wheel drive and has a unibody chassis. While the exterior of the BRV looks questionable, the interior is where it really shines. Compared to the top-of-the-line Xpander and the top-of-the-line Rush, which both had all-plastic interiors, the BRV Modulo has leather seats, padded leather armrests with real stitching, none of that fake stitching that you see on the Xpander and the Rush. Even the shift knob is leather covered. It has aluminum-looking trims around the aircon vents and piano black accents along the center console. Overall, the interior feels more premium, and it feels more like it was designed for an international market as opposed to just Southeast Asia. But while the quality of materials is better, it is a lot less spacious compared to the Xpander and the Rush.
Wow. Galit ka? Uy.
Wala siyang backup camera.
I don't remember anything that particularly stood out when I test drove the BRV. It didn't feel underpowered with 3 other people on board, but it's definitely not a sports car either. It handled the slalom course relatively well. The turning radius was acceptable. There was less body roll compared to the Rush, and it seemed like there was slightly better sound insulation compared to the Rush and the Xpander. Ride quality is also slightly better. The newest group of MPVs like the BRV, the Rush, and the Xpander are pretty difficult to classify. They kind of blur the lines between MPV, SUV, van, and station wagon. Some say, why compare them when they look so different? The Rush looks more like an SUV, and the BRV looks more like a lowered van. The reason why these vehicles are pitted against each other so much is that they're very close when it comes to price, seating capacity, and engine displacement. They're all 7-seaters. They all have 1.5-liter gasoline engines, and they all sell at roughly the same price. Although this top-of-the-line BRV Navi Modulo is a bit more expensive at 1.2 million compared to the top-of-the-line BRV and Xpander, which sell for just a little over $1 million. The lower trimmed versions of the BRV are priced competitively compared to the Rush and the Xpander. The lowest trimmed 1.5S sells for $1,072,000. That's about the same price as the top-of-the-line Rush. But this top-of-the-line model at 1.21 million pesos is scratching the limits of what makes sense for an MPV. Just add 90,000 pesos more and you have a base model MUX automatic, which is a diesel and a much more sensible vehicle in almost every respect. If you don't need a third row seat, you can also go for an HRV or a Tucson, which are also similarly priced. But if you really can't go over 1.21 million, you don't want something as big as the MUX, you absolutely must have a third row seat, and you want an interior that feels a bit more premium than what the Rush and the Xpander have to offer, then go for the BRV Modulo.